Hello, hello. This is Isabelle Tierney, founder of the methodology, and I am on Zoom today with Martin Root, who is I don't know, I think he's like the top soul brother that I've got. He and I have just this
Whoa.
connection. I know, but don't let anybody else hear that, all right?
No, no, no.
and we just have such incredible conversation. We talk at least once a month and about living in the green zone and getting out of the red zone, and is heaven on earth possible, that we thought we would record this conversation instead of just keeping it to ourselves. And so, Martin, first of all, so happy you're here. And second
Thank
of all,
you.
can you just share a little bit about yourself so that people can understand the context of why we're talking?
I will, but before I do that, you have to introduce your pussycat because
Oh, my pussycat. This is Kobe, who loves to come during very special calls. He does not come to all the calls. He only comes during, he's a very picky cat.
thank you, Kobe. So, Martin Root, management consultant, author. I have worked with some large companies in the US, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Southern California Edison, Apple Computer, working on their vision. I'm co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul at Work, which was a New York Times business bestseller with translations in over 15 languages, which is astounding, and sales of over 1.1 million. Spoken 4 times at the Harvard Business School on vision. And so a very deep corporate, but also personal development. So I've taught a course years ago called The Success Factor. I've done a lot of work with individuals on their vision and on their belief systems that stop them from seeing what is really possible in their lives and in our world. And I feel like a soul sister to you, Isabelle. And our talks, as you said, are quite amazing. Just before we went on air here, what you said was, when we're together, we access this realm that only comes out of relationship. And I think the word we, i.e. relationship, is really coming into culture now as something that's very important. Not just we, but we that is effective and efficient. And a we that Patricia Albert says doesn't come from I, but rather comes from the divine. And my experience when you and I are together is we are in that space of divine we.
Wow, it's so funny because you said a few minutes ago before we recorded, you were like, Isabel, you just dive right in when you and I connect, and we go straight into this space. I'm like, oh, he just dove right in with a we space, which thank God, right? We're not going to waste time on small talk or to take the people who are going to be listening to this as beginners. Most people in my community have done a lot of work, and it's one of the reasons I like to bring someone like you on, because we're talking next level stuff. So a few things stand out about what you're saying. So let's first talk about the vision piece, all right? And then I want to talk about the we piece. When you talk about vision, it's one of the reasons you and I connect so much. We have this vision that we believe that heaven on earth is possible here. And that, how do we get from where we're at to what the vision of heaven on earth? So I'd love to know first if you can tell me, because you and I have we don't have a traditional view of heaven on earth as rainbows and unicorns, and it's a much richer, more human vision of what heaven on earth means, or the green zone in my methodology's language. So I'm wondering if you can share that.
The whole field of heaven on earth for me, one of the things I didn't mention in my introduction was I've also done a lot of work in spirituality and work. I really was one of the leaders in bringing that conversation into the world, and mostly in business, because that's where I saw that it was needed. Not from spirituality as I know what spirituality is and you don't, I'm going to proselytize or shove this down your throat. No, 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 but really an inquiry into what spirituality and work is. So I was doing a keynote speech in Santa Fe years ago at a conference on spirituality and work, sitting in the green room, praying, meditating, and this thought came to my mind: if every business in the world is spiritual, is that what you want? And I said, well, not really, because if we could transform business through spirituality, whatever that means for the moment, let's not go there, but if we could transform, or by transforming business using spirituality, and because business is the temporal power in the world today, we could transform the world. And then this thought popped in my mind, oh, you mean heaven on earth? And my first thought, excuse the language, was, holy shit, you can't say that. And then I thought, well, why not? I can talk to you about hell on earth, can I? That's permissible conversations, plural. Why can't I talk to you about the vision I have and you have for your life, your work, your relationships, your family, your nation, and our world? And so I began this inquiry into, well, what's heaven on earth? I didn't even know what it was, what I was talking about, because it was an inquiry for me. I wasn't coming at it from, I know what heaven on earth is and I'm going to impose it on you. And so I came up with these 3 questions, which, as you know, the first question is, and if you're listening to this or watching this, please just pause and answer. The first question is, recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. Recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. Second question, here's a magic wand, and with it you can have heaven on earth. What is heaven on earth for you? And the third question, what simple, easy, concrete step, what simple, easy, concrete step will you take in the next 24 hours to have more heaven on earth? What I discovered from asking those questions, Isabelle, thousands of times, is that people do know what heaven on earth is, because I never define heaven on earth. That's what's interesting to me. And when I ask people, recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth, they answer, when my child was born, walking in nature, having a good meal, laughing. It doesn't matter, but they know, which totally surprised me. And if somebody asks, well, what do you mean by heaven on earth? I don't answer. I say, what do you mean by heaven on earth? People know in the sense that they've had an experience of heaven on earth. The second question,
Wait, hold on. Let me pause you there. I want to pause you
Yeah.
there. So, I let myself answer the question when you asked me, and I just came back from a family vacation where all my 3 kids and their partners were there and the grandkids, and we were all in an Airbnb, and it was chaotic and messy, and who's cooking what and who's shopping. But the image that immediately came was one night we were just doubled over in laughter over something. And so, I want to just slow that down. That what I love about you asking the question that begins with that is immediately makes me go, it's a state of being, and it's so mundane. It's so often, I think, when we ask people what heaven on earth is, they think it's this big thing, like I was saying, like rainbows and unicorns and there's angels walking around, and it's like this unattainable thing. But when you ask that question, like, when's the last time, you bring it to the now, and oh, I can experience that again, and I can do that again and that again. And so I wanted to really slow that piece down. So let's move on to number
Thank
2.
you. And then number 2, here's a magic wand, and with it you can have heaven on earth. The reason for the magic wand is to remove the necessity of having to know how you're going to have heaven on earth, which is very important because our minds limit us. Well, I can't because of money, time, background, whatever. But if it's the magic wand's job to create heaven on earth, then your only job is to say, this is what heaven on earth is for me. And when we do an online Zoom call or an in-person seminar, a workshop, it's amazing when people stand up and share what heaven on earth is for them. People know. And I don't want to just leave it there at good idea. I want to actually implement it. I want to have you implement it. I want to have you know that you can actually begin today co-creating heaven on earth here, now, not after death, which is fine. I don't know, but here, now. And because, at the larger context, what this is about, just like what your work is about, is co-creating the new story of what it means to be a human and what it means to be humanity. Co-creating the new story of what it means to be a human and what it means to be humanity. Because it's time. It's time. Look at all the hells on earth now. And so I'm saying that there's three stages. One, we were in the Garden of
Wait,
Eden.
hold on. Let me pause you. Because you're saying such rich things. And I know this is one of the things you and I do is we just keep going. But this is we want to slow it down for people who haven't been part of our combos. So I really love that. I don't know if I had ever heard you talk about the magic wand. Then it's not, it's always like, we don't have to figure out the how. We just have to figure out the what. So I really love that. Had never heard that.
And that's that what is the primary question,
that is
not
correct.
how.
That is the
Yeah.
how is completely out of our hands. As long as
It's
we put
this
ourselves in the green zone state, which is by asking the question of how, what does heaven on earth look like to you? You immediately have to put yourself in a green zone state. And then the moment you put yourself in a green zone state and you stay there, then the universe starts creating more of the green zone, which is the one piece. So
exactly right.
I really love that. What was interesting, what came to me when you first asked us, so first was the episode of laughter with my kids. And then the next thing was a world in which people are transparent. And it was like, oh, that's interesting. It wasn't a world of everybody's happy, loving. It's a world in which people are transparent. So meaning, let's say I'm mad at you or I've been triggered by you. I have the safety to say, hey, Martin, this triggered me. Can we talk about it a little bit? So, I'm not expecting people not to be human in my heaven on earth, but what the thing that creates hell on earth, it's an exaggeration, but my minor way, is when there's what is that called? Obfuscation, when you deceive, when you hide, when you don't say really what's going on. And then people like us who are highly sensitive, we feel it. Like when I grew up, all the adults in my life, you could feel their anxiety, their anger, and it's no, I'm fine. No, don't, you're too sensitive. All the things, right? That those of us who are so sensitive. And so as you listen to this talk, like be curious and really open about that question, like what would heaven on earth look like? Because it was surprising to me what came. And it might not be my final answer in 5 years.
Right.
Maybe right now it's just my passion is transparency and being able to reveal myself in a responsible way and have others reveal themselves in a responsible way. But that might change. So be open to change too, that your definition might change.
Let me go back because you said something. I want to be very precise with language. It's not what would heaven on earth look like, because if the person's not a visual, right,
Mm.
then you've lost them. It's here's a magic wand, and with it you can have heaven on earth. What is heaven on earth for you? Then they answer from their feeling,
Oh,
oral,
good.
visual, whatever it is. Um, and rather than saying, this is heaven on earth, I remember I did a talk once and a woman stood up and said, oh, heaven on earth, that's obvious. There's love in the world. Guy stands up after her and says, what? No, there's hunger in the world. We got to end hunger. And they get into it. I mean, not physically, but verbally, right? And I said, stop. Our job is to support this woman in having love in the world. And our job is to support this guy in having no hunger in the world. So you can't be right about your position called this is heaven on earth and I know what it is and you don't. I'm trying to shove this down your throat. No, let it arise from people. And there are 7 gateways, internal gateways, external gateways, 7 different gateways that I found over the years about how people come into heaven on earth. I should do a little plug for my book, Project Heaven on Earth on
Yes,
Amazon. Yes, yes.
please. Please.
So the book asks the 3 questions and then goes into 7 different gateways.
Mm.
Like, I'll just go quickly. So
Yeah,
gateway
please
1,
do.
internal. There are people who say the way you have heaven on earth is inside of you. Other people say heaven on earth is relationships with myself, with another, with others, with God. Others say it's about living a value, love, and in your case, transparency. My wife, joy. My friend, Tim, order. There's others who say it's about ending a suffering, ending hunger, ending war, ending poverty. There are others who say, no, it's about an institution. What if the institutions of society, law, business, government, science, media, sports, what if each of those,
Life coming in.
what if each of, I thought I turned this off. Hold on, it is on
You
airplane
did. I
mode.
saw you turn it off.
Where was it? Oh, so the institutions of life,
Mm.
that institutions would say, our job is to co-create heaven on earth. Nations. What if Canada? What if the United States? What if Russia? What if Israel? What if Ukraine? Their job is to have a heaven on earth nation. And then the final one is this here now is heaven on earth. Our belief that it's not is what keeps us away. So those are the 7 gateways. The book is called Project Heaven on Earth or Project Heaven on Earth. And I want to tie it in too now to Green Zone. And I was telling you that yesterday I lost a whole bunch of files, and I don't know where the hell they are. I'm having my computer guy come over today. But I went red zone's not the right word. I mean, it's hyper red zone. And my
Volcano
wife,
zone.
volcano zone. And my wife said, "La, la, la." And so I just did the exercise. I did the methodology, and I just like, this is the way it is. And it was remarkable. I went into hell on earth, back into green zone, back into heaven on earth.
Mm. You know, I think you know this. This is how I first saw you. My course, which is now called the Foundations course, which I'll plug it in, by the way. We're launching it as a soft launch April 1st. And but it's going to keep enrolling. We'll enroll all year long, so people don't have to worry about that. It's over. It used to be called How to Create Heaven on Earth. It used to be called the Foundations course, How to Create Heaven on Earth. And
Oh, right.
do you remember that's
I
how
do.
we
That's
ended
how
up
we connected.
finding each
Yes.
other? And so that's one
Yeah.
of the things, you know, like what I love about the way you talk about heaven on earth. The reason I pulled out that name is because people were saying, oh, that word is too Christian. It's too Christian. People are going to be turned off. But the way you speak about heaven on earth is so spacious and open, and is just it really is the green zone. And you showed us yourself this morning that you can access, like you were saying, your 7th point, heaven on earth, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. And you know, I often talk about this, which people are kind of blown away. Everybody thinks that it's the process of getting back to the green zone, or let's call it heaven on earth, that's important. What I say is what's just as important, if not more, is the process of recognizing you've left it, and then doing the 3 steps to shift back
True.
into it. You know, Marianne Williamson calls a miracle a shift in perception.
Yes.
That's what the 3 steps are. You recognize you're in the red zone, and what you're going to see, feel, hear, want to do is going to be distorted. And then you practice the 3 steps and you shift your whole being, your whole frequency to the green zone. And that's the miracle. And if people can know that, the outcome, we're not all living green zone all the time. People like you and I who've worked so long. What we can do really well is we can recognize when we're out and do the work to get ourselves back in as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Isabel, that is so profound, so wise, because it's recognizing you're out, in my language, of heaven on earth and coming back into it. And it strengthens that muscle, that
It's
human
literally a
technology.
neural pathway. It's like an
Better.
actual physiological brain tissue, you know, whatever pathway.
And you know that neuroplasticity, and we can create those. It's easy for us to drop into the not heaven on earth red zone,
Yeah.
because we know that the grooves are
The
there.
negativity bias, the evolutionary stuff. We're wired against the green zone, actually.
But what I also want to say is, notice my work, notice your work, notice the work of many, many growing number of people in the world today. It's all about this new consciousness that is emerging in the world. One of the things that I do about heaven on earth is I subscribe to Google Alerts. You know what that is? When you put in, so I put in the phrase heaven on earth, and I get a report every day on the use of English of heaven on earth around the world. And in the last year or so, I mean, I can't read them all. There's just too many. There's just too many. And one little, Nigeria, for some reason, I get more stuff from Nigeria about heaven on earth. Something's going on in Nigeria.
But haven't you said that it's gone up by like millions and millions, the searchers of the last few years of people searching for that name?
The other way to look at it is if you go into Google and put in quotes "heaven on earth," so that it has to find that
Exact term.
the exact term, and you do it 2021, 22, 23, watch how it's just exploding. And look at the other, because I've been looking at other words: utopia, paradise, similar sense, all going up. And I think it's because people are frustrated at the current reality. And, 30 years ago when I started talking about heaven on earth, oh my God, as you said earlier, you're trying to proselytize.
Yeah, I took it out of my title. I wish I hadn't. I didn't have the courage to stay with it. Oh, the 2 things that come that are really important. Number one, you are the one who told me that Lady Gaga and someone else, aren't they doing a
Rolling
song about
Stones
heaven? And the Rolling Stones.
have
Okay,
done a
so
song. have
Yeah,
done a song.
exactly. So that's one thing. And then, oh, I just lost the other thing. Hold on. Oh, I actually have, I don't, let me see if I can find it quickly. I have notes, where I always keep my, I have a million notes. And one of them is called the red zone, green zone qualities, right? So I want to show you the crazy. So hopefully people will be able to see this. This is all in vernacular. This is my tracking, what people say. This is all red zone. I'll read a few so people can understand. Let me see
Yeah.
when I get to green zone. This literally pages and pages down, and then look how little. I have literally not even a page of notes. The languaging, like
Very
it's
good.
interesting that you're talking about more people starting to about heaven on earth utopia, because actually in our language, like I hear it's what, an 80, 90, 10 contrast
Ratio.
ratio. We
Yeah.
don't have that many words for green zone that are used a lot.
That's fascinating to me. I'd never thought of it that way. What a lovely study to do. Yeah. We're not used to speaking that way. Um, and I want to go back to one of the things you said earlier about heaven. So that when I started this work 30, 35 years ago, you can't use the word heaven. Don't say heaven. Don't say heaven. They'll think you're proselytizing a particular religious point of view, which was not true for me. Like, I'm Jewish. Jews don't proselytize, except other Jews. And people say, can't you use other words? And I said, no, because that is the word. Once you've asked the 3 heaven on earth questions, which are also on my website, projectheavenonearth.com, once you've asked those 3 questions to somebody who has some fear about proselytizing or the definition of heaven and earth being imposed, it drops, it's gone, because they get in touch with what heaven on earth is for them, and they're off to the races. The other thing I wanted to say too is, please don't go up to somebody and say, what's heaven on earth for you? It's too big a question. Do it in the 3 that I spoke about, because then it's easing somebody in. If they choose, if they don't choose, they don't choose.
That's so fascinating. I've just rebuilt my website, which you've seen, and I'm so proud of it. But I had a pivotal moment about a month ago where it's funny, I ended up using the work. I was doing what I always do when I try to create content. And to really honor the methodology and what it does is I was trying to come up with the perfect 2 paragraphs we could put on my website and the perfect title. And I get really snarky. Oh, you're going to feel more peace, love, joy. Because again, that's not what the green zone is for me. The green zone is about openness and spaciousness and expansions and navigating even really difficult circumstances with curiosity. It's so much more. And I was like, oh, I'm in the red zone. Like I didn't realize I spent days when I'm in that place. I go into a rabbit hole of trying to find the perfect paragraph for days. And I was like, oh, I'm in the red zone. I'm ruminating. Do the 3 steps. So slow down and breathe. And then my 3rd step, the go for a feel good habit, was to hand it over to God. I was like, God, I don't know how to do this. I know this methodology changes lives. I don't know how to. Within 24 hours, I had the answer. And you know what the answer was? Tell stories. Let people tell their stories of how the methodology impacted their life. And it's the same thing. It's like, oh, what's the green zone? I've got to write down in specific word, like what heaven on earth is, what the green zone is. It's like what you do and what I do is people's own definition that is humanized, right? It's humanized by telling their story. For me, it was my kids and I laughing in Phoenix. For someone else, like you said, it could be I was in a forest. And and everybody gets, yep, I get that's heaven on earth. Like, oh yeah, I get the green zone when I hear a story, not because you hear, you'll feel more peace, love, and joy. It's like, I think heaven on earth and the green zone, this is what comes to me, are so multi-dimensional that when we
Lovely.
try, it's like collapsing multi-dimension into a 2-dimension linear few words, and it kills the essence of those words, those states of being.
They
Interesting.
have to be alive. Green zone has to be alive in the moment, as does heaven on earth in the moment, and that's what appeals to people. Because I think that's what we're doing. By the way, so this is in about 6 months ago, I started to think about what's phase 2 of heaven on earth, because phase 1 is people are doing projects all over the world. The numbers are going up. What's next? And what I got was heavening. that heaven, in addition to being a noun, is also a verb in the Oxford English Dictionary: to beatify, to lift up, to make supremely happy. So that phase two of heaven on earth is heavening, the verb, the active verb heavening, and it's we are heavening. It can't be I alone or you alone. That's not it. It has to be, well, it is, we are heavening. And I think even before that is, we are being heavened. We've never been out of heaven. I saw this most incredible picture. The Voyager spacecraft was going by Saturn years ago, and you could see the ring of Saturn. And way, way in the distance, you saw a little, tiny, tiny, tiny blue dot. Us. We always think that heaven is not here, not now. It's after death. Why not here right now? And that those up there are in heaven. But what do you think the people on Saturn are saying in Saturnese, right? Oh, look at that blue dot up there. It's in heaven. We are in heaven. We are being heavened. And we have the belief that we were kicked out of the garden, that it was a one-way street out forever. And I'm saying that no longer serves us, that misbelief. We are being heavened and we are heavening.
Can
That
you
is
tell me
phase
an
two.
example? Can you tell us an example of what heavening, what you mean by heavening as a verb?
What we're doing right now.
Mhm.
It's an active verb. We can feel the space. We always feel the space when you and I are together. When we are together, it's the space. My friend Gordon Allen says it's communion. It's the soul that's between us. He says soul is collective, not singular, which I love. So heavening is the soul, our divine soul's desire for the world that we long for being made real in the moment. Whew, that's good. I just made that up.
Ooh, thank God I am recording this and it's getting also transcribed automatically. We got it all down.
Whoa.
This
And
is
we
the
are,
this is
and we
why,
are, why,
listeners, this is why we're doing this, because when Martin and I come together, and maybe this is actually expanding on the definition of heavening, I'm just realizing
yes.
more occurs, more insights, more revelation, more wisdom, more understanding. Like every time we talk, we walk away going, what just happened? Like a whole, it's like an up leveling occurs, but without any effort. We don't go, let's get on these phone calls so that we can up level each other. It's the act of coming together. I mean, Martin, do you think we have a conscious or unconscious intention at all? So my question, my curiosity is, which I've never asked myself, do you need to have an intention in order to heaven with somebody as a we? I don't know if I have an intention except to connect with you. I don't go, I'm going to
I
heaven
think,
with
you
him
know what?
today.
That is a very profound question. I does not know the answer. I doesn't. We knows the answer. Um, Off the top of my head, I would say, wow. I say when you and I are together, there is no intention for that. There's never been. It just shows up and we go deeper into it and it continually expands. At the same time, I've been doing this meditation every morning. We are being heavened, we are heavening, we are being heavened, we are heavening. Sometimes I'll just say, we are being heavened like 10 times, and then we are heavening 10 times. And I go out into the world, and those experiences show up. Literally, they show. Oh, wait, wow, look what just happened. Oh, look what just happened. So it is what? Intentional and willful in one, not willful, intentional in one sense, we are heavening, and receptive in the other, we are being heavened. And we are being heavened is also active. It's not passive. You just sit back. It's an active reception, something like that. You can see, we're at the edge of our knowledge, of our knowing about this, but I think we've moved it forward in this conversation.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
Martin and
goodbye,
I
but
explore. It's like we are spiritual explorers or consciousness explorers. I prefer that.
Yeah.
And so, that's again one of the reasons I want us to have us together, is because we come to new explorations just by the fact of being with each other. I am so curious about, the we piece, so I used to be a really, really good one-on-one therapist. And not only that, I was scared shitless of groups because, I have trauma around groups from growing up. And so groups, like whether it was socially, I'm horrible in big groups. Like I like become like this big, or professionally, I never did groups. And over the last 5 years running my course, I've had to learn really the skill of being a great group facilitator and to understand what happens in groups. And now I'm like, oh my God. So that's why I'm launching this course now. It's like a relaunch of the course, because I'm realizing that the transformation that occurs in a room when there's more than just me or even one person is just, it's like it multiplies.
Yes.
And I think this is an era of that, just like the guru. It's not the era of the guru anymore. Like, I don't want to do this work alone. I don't want to do this work alone. And it's one of the reasons now that I'm thinking about that I connect to you and there's other people I connect to, is because we're all doing our own work about bringing green zone or heaven on earth, whatever we want to call it, but we're not supposed to do it alone. We don't want it. We've done it alone most of our lives, right? Like most people that I know. And the difference in not only just the pleasure of doing it with others, but also the amount, as we were saying, of transformation and insights that can occur. Like I can meditate and have great insights, but when you and I get together, it's like 10x what I can do on my own. Do you feel that true
Fabulous.
for you too?
I do. I absolutely feel. No, I think this is an historic conversation that we're having. We've broken yet again, open this new space. I'm noticing how I'm struggling with language here. It's literally because it's so on the cutting edge of my work right now. So I get excited with that. When I just give that definition of heaven, whoa, that
I
was.
Yeah, and you guys see, right? This is what I was talking about when I was trying to create my website. This is the thing that's so crazy because I'm still trying to market, right? I want as many people to come into this course because the more come into the course, the more transformed, the more this planet changes. Like it's big, right? It's not just like, oh, I'd like to make a little more money. No, 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 no. This is so much bigger than that. Why I'm so That's interesting. I was going to say obsessed, and then I was going to, the word possessed came. Possessed by what? It didn't, like, that was an interesting word. But, oh, now I've lost my train of thought. What were we just saying, Martin?
We were talking about how this whole new era has begun to emerge, and the desire that each of us has to no longer just do it alone,
Yeah.
but to do it in a healthy we, a we that's efficient and effective, that's divinely inspired.
Oh, we were talking too. I
Go
think
ahead.
you were talking about the sentence. Oh, yes. So the marketing. This is the pain in the butt stuff that happens. My smartest sentences, my smartest one-liner that does an amazing job of defining something really esoteric only occur in conversations. And it's so crazy making because I'll be with clients and either they'll say something or I'll say something. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. That should be used. And then it's the session and then it's gone. You and I often don't record our calls. So you just said the miracle thing. And I find that trying to come up with a way to explain my work by myself, like I was saying, in a few paragraphs, doesn't work. And it can only be shared through story, right?
Through story
Insights.
and
Yeah,
personal
and
experience.
insights too just come through relationship. And I think that's why I'm doing these lives. Or, this one is recorded, is because I don't want to just get on a live by myself and try to come up with stuff like people will get more from others, from me talking to others.
You
And
said it's easier, it's more pleasurable, and it's 10x. I don't even know the number, but it's clearly a multiplier, a scaling factor when we get together. So
so
each of when as you're listening and watching this, ask the three heaven on earth questions of yourself and of others. Just listen for the answers. Don't try to impose your answer on what heaven on earth, but evoke it. So the work that I'm doing is not to impose heaven on earth, but to evoke heaven on earth. That's a totally different,
Mm.
totally different aspect.
Oh, I love
Buy
that.
3 copies of my book. Go on Amazon now and buy 3 copies of Project Heaven on Earth by Martin Root. One for yourself, one for somebody who you know right now needs it, and one for somebody who's going to come in your life. We have people who buy a case at a time.
I
Or one
believe that.
woman in Los Angeles, she just has it in the back of her car.
Oh, that's
Hey,
a
I got a book that I
great
think you.
idea. Oh, I love that. And we're going to come to a close. So this was the perfect timing, but buying a case, you know, oh, I love that so much. So I don't know if you know, I have this thing called hashtag, it's hashtag feel good angel. And I get motivated to do it and then I forget. And then I get, and you hashtag a feel good angel when somebody like at the grocery store is really kind to you, or somebody, you know, for flight attendants or passenger, just, or your partner, like it doesn't have to be a stranger. And so then I'll say, hey, I want to thank you. You've been a feel good angel. You helped me feel heaven on earth or the green zone today. And I'll say, can we take a picture? Can I share on social media? And I have yet to have one person not beam like bathroom cleaning ladies in airport in North Korea. I mean, like, you know, like, and like, yes, you know, and sometimes they put it on their social media if they have it. And so what I really like it is like including now your book, you know, like when it's somebody who's really been a feel good angel that just touches you, to on top not just tag them but also give them your book.
You
So
know,
I
hold
really
on. What
think,
I don't have, hold on one second. Let me
okay,
just get a copy of my book so
okay,
people can see it. 1 second. You can pause it.
okay. So he's come back with his book. There we go. Forward by Jack Canfield, Project Heaven on Earth. And you guys heard what Martin was saying. It's Project Heaven on Earth and Project Heaven on Earth. So you
And
can play with
it's a
that.
workbook. It's designed to have you answer the 3 questions and go through each of the 7 gateways so that by the time you're done with the book, you will know what your heaven on earth project is if you choose. Tons of examples, tons of quotes, tons of stories. I want to inspire you and motivate you and move it from heaven on earth is a complete impossibility. It's stupid. It'll never happen to, oh my God, we're actually doing this. Exactly.
And so I will end my part with saying, why, if I were to ask you, why should somebody join the foundations course? You took it, right? You know the similarities between your work and my work, and hopefully we've done a good job today talking about that. Do you have anything? Would you recommend this course to anybody who wants to find more green zone or heaven on earth?
In Isabelle's course, what the foundation course, what's interesting is you begin to see the mechanism of the mind, of the ego, and that you don't have to be trapped by it. That's the power for me. You can see it, you're outside of it. Oh, isn't this interesting? And then you can dissolve it and move back into heaven on earth, back into the green zone. And it's deceptively simple. That's what's interesting to me. You think, well, it needs to be more complicated. Da, 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 da. Here's the ultimate question. Does it work? Yes, no. Find out for yourself and you'll see it works. That's all we care about. Does it work? Yes. Is it simple? Even better.
I love that. And I just track to complete the simplicity of your first question of, you know, heaven on earth. It's like, it's simple. It's when it gets complicated, the mind loves to make it complicated. So then we get overwhelmed and then we get paralyzed and then we don't do anything.
Exactly. One of the jokes about heaven on earth is it's simple. Yeah. So overwhelm is such a,
Overwhelmed. Yeah, it's a resistance thing. It's the ego thing. It does it on purpose so that we don't actually have to do the transformational work. And, you
so
know,
here's my little thing about overwhelm, because a lot of people have said over the years, oh, heaven on earth, it's overwhelming. Last night in secret session, the government of the country that you're in, whatever country that is, met secretly and passed a new law. And the new law makes it unlawful to be overwhelmed. You can't be overwhelmed anymore. Oh, well, if I can't be overwhelmed, then what am I going to do? Exactly. That's the point.
well, then you like, that's why you want to do the course, because I would say like one of the greatest outcomes of this work, right? It's literally to get out of the stress response. And one of the primary signals of the stress response is overwhelm, and shift into the green zone where you're collected, calm, centered. So perfect ending. Martin, as always, it just just was a delight. And I'm so excited for people to hear this and get inspired by this
Thank you.
conversation. All right,
Thank you, my
honey.
soul sister.
Love
Bye
you.
bye, dear.